Moose Johnston. He'll lead the football operations for the new UFL. Fox Sports analyst, 3 Super Bowl rings, joining us live from Las Vegas. A guy can get in trouble in Las Vegas, but I have this feeling Moose Johnston would not get in trouble, and he is joining me live. He's been around the block. He's going to bed early. Let's start with this. 3 Super Bowls. So I imagine the first Super Bowl you were in was the youngest team. So when you look at San Francisco, outside of Brock Purdy, there's not a ton of youth. It's a lot of veteran guys. I mean, Trent Williams, Debo, Kittle, Fred Warner. These are grown-ups. Kansas City's defense is Chris Jones. He could babysit. It's kids. I think they're incredible. But go back to your first Super Bowl. When I imagine that was a younger Cowboy team, were you more nervous? Did it get into your head? Go back to that if you could.
Yeah, the youngest team in the NFL at the time that season going up against the Buffalo Bills, who were playing in their 3rd Super Bowl in consecutive years. And I always remember this moment. We were a little bit nervous, but more kind of that good nervous, right? Excited, not anxious. And when the Jets flew over the Rose Bowl, our sideline went nuts. And Buffalo, we looked across the field, and it was just ho-hum. Here we go again. Here comes our 3rd Super Bowl. So I think when we took the field, the emotion that our team had and that youth and that greatness of you don't know what you don't know at the time really, really helped us. Because if you remember, we had a blocked punt and fell behind 7-0 very early in that game, and it was no big deal to us.
Yeah, what was Jimmy Johnson, just like Andy Reid, veteran coach, is probably messaging the young kids? You're going to have energy coming out of your pores. What was Jimmy's messaging for that first Super Bowl against that veteran Bills team?
The best thing that Jimmy did and our entire staff did was keep our preparation schedule as close to what we did in Dallas as they possibly could. There's obligations that you have when you get to the host city, but if we could keep it consistent as possible, the same as we had it when we were in Dallas, that was going to get us into that comfort zone. And he was remarkable at doing that. He told the guys, hey, listen, if you go out on Thursday night, go out on Thursday night. Whatever you do week to week to get ready for the game, don't change this week during the course of preparation. Yes, it's the Super Bowl, but we're going to approach this like just an ordinary game. Forget about the hype that's there.
So Mahomes has been virtually perfect in the playoffs, and I think he's added a dimension to his game, Moose. He's always been hyper-talented, but he's really learning how to play the position. He just doesn't make mistakes in big spots. He's much more willing to throw it away, complete stuff underneath. And that's the process of being a quarterback. Now, maybe Troy had that very quickly as a quarterback. But when I watch Mahomes, I'm like, man, he's growing up in front of us. He doesn't make more spectacular plays. He just doesn't make any mistakes. Do you think, let's go to your 3rd Super Bowl. So now you're the vet. You've been there. You're going for your 3rd ring. Mahomes now is a vet. His mindset going into this, your mindset, you're a grown-up. I think you're favored. You got your 2 rings in your pocket. Take me to your mindset in that week.
Well, that was a different season for us, Colin. That was really challenging. That last Super Bowl that we won, we probably played some of the worst football all season long in the month of December, which is contrary to what you want to be doing. We had some things fall our way on the final weekend of the regular season that allowed us, if we go out and beat Arizona in Arizona, we can secure home field. We can be 1 month away from coming back to this exact same stadium to defend or to compete for a Super Bowl championship again. And so it was a really different mindset for us. We were really week to week at that point because we had just not had a lot of consistency. It was one of those seasons where we started off really, really well and then kind of faded at the end and then kind of got everything sorted out. Very similar to what's happened to Kansas City this season.
Yeah.
They started out and played really well. They had that bump from October to Thanksgiving, and now they're playing good football again at the end of the year. The knock on them was, listen, you've played really well in the postseason, but it's always been at Arrowhead. What are you going to do when you have to leave Arrowhead? To go win in Buffalo, to go win in Baltimore? Those are huge, huge confidence builders for this team. And I think you're exactly right. When Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill and all that skill around him, he was very aggressive down the field. He's adjusted to how he plays. He knows the mistake is going to be the thing that prevents the Kansas City Chiefs from winning the game. And I think that we hear this game manager style of football. That's exactly what the game manager is. He looks at his team. He assesses what's the best way for us to win. And Patrick Mahomes has been phenomenal at that this year. And the other area that I think he's really stepped up, I love his leadership through the entire season, especially when they weren't playing well, when the receivers were dropping footballs, when there were things going on that were outside of his control, and yet he put it all on his shoulders and challenged his guys to get better. I think his leadership has been phenomenal this season.
So you played in 16 career playoff games. You only lost 4. I know I'm pressing your memory here, and we both have some gray hair. So I don't want to set you up to fail here, but here's the tough question. Was of the 4 playoff losses for you, out of 16 games, was there a common thread in the losses? Was there something that almost always doomed you? Now, I don't remember if they were close or not, but when you only have 4 losses in 16 games, was that age? Was it injuries? Was it turnovers? Do you remember those losses? Were they a collective or all totally different?
I can't remember where I put my keys in my wallet, but I can remember every game I played. So here we go. Detroit in 91, just a young team.
Yeah.
Didn't know what we didn't know, and we did not match up well against Detroit at the time. The silver stretch gave us fits. They had beaten us pretty good in the regular season. They beat us worse in the playoffs. And I'm so happy that Detroit won a playoff game because I don't have to hear about the last victory. It was in 1991 against the Cowboys. The second one is San Francisco in the championship game after our 2 Super Bowls. Played the worst 6 minutes of football that group ever played. It was 21-0 after 6 minutes in the first quarter. We fought back. We almost got back into that game. We could never get it inside 10 points. I think if we did get it inside 10 points, that we actually pull off a huge comeback from being down 21. I still say Deion Sanders interfered with Michael Irvin inside the 10-yard line. That would have got us inside 10. We lost to Carolina in 95. That was a team that was beat up. We lost all our stars. We were not healthy that game.
Yep.
And then the last one was Arizona, and that was just, that team was starting to go down the backside of the hill. So it's youth and inexperience in a bad matchup, and then it's just bad football and turnovers. The third one is injuries, and the fourth one is on the downside of a great dynastic team.
So finally, I loved Mike Shanahan. Think he's a Hall of Famer. Often duplicated, copied. I think Kyle's terrific. I'm such a big fan of Andy Reid, but I tend to root for coaches who I think are great, but have lost a lot of big games, right? Like after McVay went to that Super Bowl and it just had a bad performance, the next time I'm like, I want to see Sean win this thing. Nothing against Burrow. Do you find yourself, is there a part of San Francisco where you, or as a former Cowboy, do you love the misery that San Francisco's going through in these big game losses?
No, I don't wish misery on anybody. And I've got too many people that I respect out in San Francisco that I would not wish that upon them. I would love to see John Lynch win a Super Bowl as a general manager. Kyle Shanahan is one of my favorite coaches to meet with during the course of the season. If you ask him hard questions, he gives you great answers. He doesn't hide anything. It's a pleasure to sit down and talk with him. Steve Wilkes has been fantastic. I'd love to see Steve Wilkes get a championship. Andy Reid is quite possibly my favorite coach outside of the coaches that I've played for. I've never played for Andy Reid, but I think he's one of the greatest human beings, not just coaches, but one of the greatest human beings ever. Andy would let me come up to Kansas City and spend 3 days with him in training camp when I was thinking about moving towards kind of a front office type position and sit in on all the meetings and get an opportunity to see how the Chiefs were functioning behind the curtain. And I've always cheered for Andy Reid, whatever the setting is. So for me, this is going to be a fantastic game for me to watch because I'm going to be happy either way, whoever wins this game. And I think it quite potentially could be one of the better Super Bowls that we've seen in the last few years. And we've had some fantastic games. I truly believe this could come down to, does Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy have the football in his hand on the last drive to win the game?
Moose Johnston, he's going to be leading football operations for the new UFL. Quality guy. That made me laugh. You forget where you put your keys this morning, but you remember the losses. You are a true football icon. I swear to God, you guys never forget. The wins blur. The losses stick with you forever. Yes. Moose, it's always great to see you. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I talked about Troy with this one. Do you enjoy winning more, or does the hurt of losing bother you more than the joy of winning? And that's one way that Troy and I are wired the same way. A loss we can't shake, and a win goes away in 5 minutes.
Well, that says a lot about your success post-football as well. You got high standards. Moose, great seeing you. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.